Hello there, everyone. Welcome back to the channel. It's Amiibo here, and today we are going over my top 10 most anticipated Nintendo Switch 2 games. This almost feels like a topic I should have tackled a little bit closer to the Direct earlier this month, but I sat down this morning, I was looking at a list of all of the confirmed games, and at first I was like, oh no, this list is going to be all first party because, you know, I'm a Nintendo guy. I'm excited for basically all of the first party stuff, and yes, there is going to be a lot of Nintendo first party on this list. However, there is more third party games that I'm really excited for coming to the platform than I realized. Now, for this list, I'm trying to avoid any Switch 2 editions of the first party stuff, so like Kirby and the Forgotten Land, that's not going to be on here, but also any old games. So I have some honorable mentions here. We'll go over those real quick, but like a Yakuza 0 Director's Cut, I'm not going to put that on the list. I love Yakuza 0, one of my favorite games of all time. I'm going to try out that new multiplayer mode, probably end up replaying the entire story again, why not? But I'm not going to put like an old game like that on the list. Same thing with the game like Wild Hearts S. I actually never played that game, but it's one I had my eye on from Koei Tecmo, their Monster Hunter kind of clone. A couple of other honorable mentions before we get into the proper top 10. Shadow Labyrinth, that Pac-Man Metroidvania, that is confirmed for Switch 2. Very excited to check out that in July, although it comes out like a day before Donkey Kong Bonanza or something like that, so that's not great for that game. Fast Fusion from Shinin, this is their new F-Zero style game. Of course, Fast Racing Neo on Wii U was a big deal. Fast RMX was a Switch 1 launch title, and now we have Fast Fusion. Very excited for that. Raito Remastered, I have this little guy. I have this little guy right here. I found this at the Goodwill. It's from one of these games, I'm pretty sure, so I'll finally get context for that. That's coming out in June, as well as Nobunaga's Ambition Awakening. I've never played one of the Nobunaga's Ambition games, but I feel like with the mouse controls, now's the right time for me to finally try out one of these games. And really, I mean, you all know me, I play a lot of games. I'm excited for a lot more than just what we're talking about in this video. I can't cover literally everything. Of course, as we go through in the months to come, everything I do play, I will talk about in videos. But of course, as always, if you enjoy Nintendo Switch content like this, I would appreciate you subscribing. And of course, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. What games are you most excited for on the Nintendo Switch 2? Let me know your personal list in the comments below. Let's get into it. Okay, so starting off at number 10, we do have a third-party game. This is releasing, I'm pretty sure, on most platforms. At the very least, I know it's on Switch 1, but it is going to release at the same time as the Nintendo Switch 2 on a release day, and that is Rune Factory Guardians of Ozma. Now, I was debating, should I put this here or put the Raito Remastered here, because I think I'm pretty closely equal on both games in terms of excitement, but I gave the edge to Rune Factory because Marvelous seems to really be doing a lot of things right for me when it comes to the Switch 2. All of the games are actually on the cartridge, and in the case of Rune Factory, there is actual, like, differences in the game, right? There are mouse controls for when you're at your village building up your towns. I have little experience with Rune Factory. I played Rune Factory 4 on the 3DS, but when Guardians of Ozma was announced back in, I want to say, the August partner showcase last year, I was immediately like kind of like way more into it. You know, you have this way more cel-shaded anime art style. You have more of an action RPG focus, it feels like. I mean, I don't know. Maybe this is how Rune Factory's been, but it just feels like a higher budget Rune Factory from what I've seen in the past. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe this is how Rune Factory 5 was. But having this like whole ancient Chinese mythology setting with like dragons and stuff, I think this looks really cool. I'm putting it at number 10 though, just because it is more of an unproven thing for me. When we look at the rest of this list, it's all franchises that I'm, you know, completely enamored with. So Rune Factory, I'm excited for it. I'm very excited to try it out with the mouse controls, but I don't know yet. Like, I don't know for sure that, yeah, I'm going to love this game. So that is my number 10. At number 9, we have a game that was sneakily confirmed for Switch 2 in a sizzle reel, and that is Professor Layton and the New World of Steam. So this game was announced, I want to say, 2 years ago now for Switch 1. We haven't really seen much of it, but Professor Layton is a series that is very near and dear to my heart, and what we have seen of it so far does look really good. My biggest issue with Professor Layton on the 3DS, the 3DS games, I hate the way they look, especially Miracle Mask, because it was an early 3DS game. It was actually a launch title in Japan. The visuals in that game are really off-putting. I don't know what it is exactly, but I just don't like the way the 3D models look. You look at the DS games, and they have such beautiful 2D art for all of the characters, the little animations they do, Miracle Mask, and to a lesser extent, Azure and Legacy. There's just something off about them for me. But this new one, they look really good. And once again, while this hasn't been confirmed, this is a puzzle game where they're from the DS era with the touchscreen. You can imagine the Switch 2 version of this game having really good mouse controls for, you know, selecting answers, drawing answers, circling objects, that kind of thing, clicking around when you're exploring. And inherently, I'm just excited for it because, you know, new Professor Layton for the first time in, I mean, not counting Catriel, when did Azran Legacy come out? Like 2014, I want to say. So it's been a long time since we got a Professor Leighton starring my boy Leighton and starring his little apprentice Luke. So very excited for that one from level 5. We will see if it actually ends up sticking to 2025. And I should say I am doing a 2025 list here. There's not much confirmed for 2026 aside from the Dusk Bloods, but yeah, this is all 2025 stuff. Okay, at number 8, we have another third-party game before we get to the onslaught of first-party games I'm excited for. But this is one that I am so excited for. I'm not even sure if I'll play it on Switch 2. I'll probably at least check it out on Switch 2, check out the Switch 2 version, compare it to the PS5 version. But Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3 plus 4. I have never played Pro Skater 3 or 4, but if you watch the videos where I go over every game I played in any given month, I went crazy on Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2 back in March. I bought it when it came out. I liked it. You know, it was very nostalgic because I grew up with Pro Skater on N64, but it wasn't until I picked it up again back in March when they announced Pro Skater 3 plus 4 that it really like clicked with me, and I was like, wow, this game is like really good. I actually think there's an argument to be made that Pro Skater 1 and 2 is like a perfect video game. We will see if that applies to 3 plus 4. It's not being done by the same team, but as someone who has never played either of those games, and you know, I've never done any of the challenges, I know there's some controversy with 4 and how it seems like they got rid of the career mode or something like that. Even if it just feels the same as 1 plus 2, and I have some new levels to mess around with new goals and challenges, that is enough for me. Like, this is definitely one of my most anticipated games of the year. Like I said, I might buy this on PS5, but I mean, the novelty of having in handheld mode would be pretty nice. I tried playing 1 plus 2 on my PS Portal. However, Tony Hawk, very input-heavy game, not the best. Even if there's only a few milliseconds of latency, that's gonna ruin any gameplay in a Tony Hawk game. So maybe having this one Switch 2 in portable mode, being able to play in bed or on the go, that might be the move. So yeah, Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3 plus 4, that's releasing in July. I think it's like July 11th or something, so definitely excited for that. I'm not expecting any Switch 2 inherent features other than portability, but I cannot wait for this game. Next up at number 7, I'm really kind of debating if I want to swap 6 and 7. I gotta be honest. And you know what? I think I'm gonna do it just because I think I'll be the first person to ever say this on the internet. No, but I mean, they're really close for me. So at number 7, I'm gonna put Donkey Kong Bonanza. That is extremely low. I think a lot of people have Bonanza at their number 1. However, I'm not like in love with Donkey Kong. I gotta be honest. I'm very happy for Donkey Kong fans. I love his new design. I love how emotive he is. I like this idea of just destroying environments. However, I think I need another trailer to really prove it to me. Like, okay, this really is the next like 3D Mario team's game, right? Like, this is their next project. If it actually is them, I still have my doubts. Of course, I think it is being at least co-developed with them, maybe with NST, the team that did Bowser's Fury, but it looks good. It looks really good. I know I'm going to have a ton of fun with this, and I'm sure it'll probably be in my top 10 games of the year, no doubt. But I will say, having played the game for about 20 minutes at my hands-on demo in New York a few weeks ago, the more time I've sat with that demo experience, the less excited I get for the game. I got to be honest. I think it was just a bad demo. I think it was just a bad way to experience this game where you're destroying environments. They want you to collect all this gold and stuff. I was kind of rushing through because I knew I was on a time limit. So I didn't have like the true experience of taking my time and collecting everything, because it is a collectathon. And usually these are games I do like to go for 100%, 200%, whatever they classify it as. So I think for me, it was kind of just a poor showing. I talked about the frame rate issues and stuff. I have no doubt that team will fix it up by the time it releases. But DK Bonanza, I'm cautiously very excited for, right? Like, I really want a 3D Donkey Kong game on the level of a Mario Odyssey. I feel like I'm not seeing that yet, but the love and care they're putting into DK's design and like the music and stuff. There was this clip that came out yesterday, I want to say, that had like the Rambi remix from DK64. Like, they're doing a lot of stuff right with this game. I just want to see a little bit more, I think, to really convince me that it should be higher up on my list. Also, just being totally honest, I love 3D Mario 64, one of my favorite games of all time. It's not fair to Donkey Kong Bonanza, however, I have to say it. I am just like, where's my 3D Mario? I know that's not fair to Donkey Kong Bonanza, but just like the potential of this taking away from the next 3D Mario, even for a little bit, that is like knocking away at my brain like, oh no, this is it. I think we will get 3D Mario next year likely, but that is definitely a factor of like, oh, this is, you know, we expected 3D Mario this year, basically. So to see DK Bonanza, that is, you know, I know it's going to be like one of my favorite games of the year, but I don't know. I'm putting DK Bonanza at 7. Number 6, however, is a game that I know a lot of people aren't even talking about. Most people don't even care about this game from Nintendo and Koei Tecmo, and that is Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment. Yeah, I'm putting that above DK Bonanza. Like I said, they're close. So I have been very outspoken on my main channel, Botox Games. I was predicting a Hyrule Warriors game for this year, an Age of Imprisonment, if you will. I didn't really want it to happen, though, to be honest. I was like, oh, I really don't want another Breath of the Wild aesthetic Zelda game. We've had so much time with these characters and this version of Hyrule. However, the more I've really thought about it, and with how much I love Dynasty Warriors Origins, I actually think there's a lot of reason to be excited about this one in particular. I'm going to do a full video going over why exactly on the main channel, but we know it's going to be canon. They said it's not going to be like a what-if story like Age of Calamity was, so it is going to be the actual events of the Imprisoning War with Zelda, with Rauru, and all those characters, Minoru. So that's going to be really cool. I wonder how hard they go, though, because Age of Calamity, I was always surprised they didn't get even crazier with that game's DLC, and I mean, they got crazy with it, right? You could play as the freaking Guardian Egg and all these different characters that weren't actually there. I wonder what that means for Age of Imprisonment if it is only canon story. Like, there's really not that many characters they can play around with, so I'll be curious how that works out. But the reason I'm putting it so high up is because of Dynasty Warriors Origins. Dynasty Warriors Origins is one of my favorite games of the year. I was really blown away by that game as someone who already liked Warrior stuff, but someone who had not really played any of the actual Dynasty Warriors games, right? I've always been playing all of the anime tie-in games, the Nintendo tie-in games. Dynasty Warriors Origins really kind of blew me away. That was like a true next-gen experience for me, where I was impressed by what was happening on screen and impressed by the upgrade versus prior Warriors games. If that same kind of upgrade applies to Age of Imprisonment, which I'm a little worried it might not, we'll see. But if Age of Imprisonment even comes close to Dynasty Warriors Origins and it does have this Zelda skin on it, that's going to be one of my favorite games of the year. So Age of Imprisonment, I'm putting at number 6. That might be a little high. I know a lot of people are not into Warrior stuff, but as time has gone on, I've just gotten more and more into it. And even though I am a little, tired of the Breath of the Wild era, I know I'm going to love this game and put 100 hours into it. So it's got to be high up on the list. So earlier in the video, I said no Switch 2 editions. What I meant by that was, I need to clarify here before we get over these next couple. What I meant was none of the true just upgrades of old games, so no Kirby and the Forgotten Land plus Star Cross World, no Mario Party Jamboree, no Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom. Switch 1 games that are not released yet that do have Switch 2 editions, I'm going to count those because those are new games to me. So at number 5, we have Metroid Prime 4 Beyond. So I talked about how my DK Bonanza demo experience did not really sell me on that game. I had the exact opposite experience with Metroid Prime 4 Beyond. I am not a huge Metroid Prime fan. I love 2D Metroid. Metroid Dread, one of my favorite Switch 1 games. I love Metroid Fusion, Super Metroid. I love all of them. I really love every single 2D Metroid game. Some of my favorite games of all time, Metroid Fusion is my favorite Game Boy Advance game, for example, but Metroid Prime never really been my thing. However, playing those opening minutes of the game, especially with mouse controls, it sold me. It's so beautiful. It's really probably the best looking Nintendo game ever, the best, most graphically intensive game they've ever made. It looks really, really breathtaking, running at 120 FPS. That is so crazy to me. You have all of these different options for how you want to play it in terms of not just controls, which we'll talk about, but also the visuals. So you can play it at 4K 60, which is awesome, but also you can play it at 1080 120 because the Switch 2 does have a 120 hertz display, which is just shocking. I still kind of can't believe it. Even though I don't love Metroid Prime in general, I'm very excited to see this game actually release and get my hands on it because they've been working on it for so long. I almost can't believe that Retro Studios would have taken this much time with a game and it ends up being a game that I don't love and at least becoming my favorite Metroid Prime game. Once again, as someone who does not love them and hold them to the same regard as a lot of other people. And then you have those mouse controls, which really sold me, not just on Metroid Prime 4 Beyond, but really sold me on the Switch 2. Of course I was going to buy it anyway, but playing a Nintendo FPS with mouse controls, it kind of broke my mind a little bit. I know it's a simple thing. I mean, it reminds me of when I first used the Wiimote, right? It was oh, whoa, you can use it and point it at the TV and move the cursor. Even though I've played games on PC and stuff in the past, it's the versatility of having the left Joy-Con in your hand, using it like a regular controller, but then in your right hand, you're using a mouse and sliding it around. You can easily lift it up and change to stick controls if you want to on the fly. It's just so seamless that I think my experience control-wise with Metroid Prime 4 Beyond, that alone is making me so much more excited for the game. And then once again, I do trust in Retro to make something special here. I really hope there's a multiplayer mode. That is my biggest hope at this point. It's probably not going to happen, but we will see. So that's number 5. At number 4, we are going back to the third-party realm. So one of my favorite Nintendo Switch 1 games is a game that not many people talk about. A little game called Damon X Machina. I've been championing this game for 7 years now, 6 years now, whatever the case is. I remember where I was when it was announced. I was like, what is this weird new mech game Nintendo's publishing? Of course, Marvelous and First Studio developed it, and I played it when it came out, and I loved it. I put a ton of time into Damon X Machina, even on Switch 1, even with the kind of stinky performance, even though it's not the most polished game. There are definitely issues with Damon X Machina. I saw the vision, and I am investing in that vision because I loved what I played of that game back when it came out. Of course, I finished the story, did a bunch of grinding for different parts and stuff like that. It's just a lot of fun. And when Armored Core 6 came out, I was like, oh, cool, From Software mech game. That's going to be way better than Damon X Machina. I don't know about that. I liked Damon X Machina a lot more than Armored Core 6. I know that's probably a crazy take. So Titanic Scion, this was announced like 2 years ago with a little CGI trailer. I think this is the secret best looking game in the Switch 2 Direct. Metroid Prime 4 Beyond, of course, looks amazing, but Titanic Scion, they've really like got a grip on the art style, where the first game had these really like oversaturated environments and stuff. You still have that visual language here in Titanic Scion, but it's a little bit more subdued and looks a little bit more looks a little bit like, it looks right. You know, there were definitely areas in the first game where I was like, that doesn't look right. It doesn't look natural. They've managed to keep that same colorful flair while making all the planets and everything just look a little bit more natural in how they're presented. So visually, it looks incredible, but also I'm just excited to have what will likely be at least 1080 60 on Switch 2, but maybe even 4K 60. I mean, that would be ideal version of this game with more content. They've been cooking it for a long time, right? I mean, it's been 6 years since Damon X Machina. I can't imagine they did much else in between at First Studio. They've been cooking it for a while. I think this is going to be a sleeper hit. I think a lot of people are going to pick this game up on September 6th when it releases and be like, wow, this is a real heater. Like, this is a banger. So really cannot wait for that. And weird to have two Marvelous games on my list. Shout out to Marvelous. I mean, they are cooking this year with Rune Factory and Damon X Machina, but also stuff like Story of Seasons I know people are excited for. Really good year for them on the Switch 2. Definitely, I would say, out of all the third parties there in year one, they are doing it the best in terms of quantity, quality, and also for physical collectors, because their games are on the cartridge. They already confirmed that Damon X Machina, Titanic Scion will be on the cartridge, at least here in America and in Europe. So shout out to them. Definitely very, very excited for Titanic Scion. And now for our top three, we are back to the first party realm. So number 3 is another Switch 1 game that's getting a Switch 2 edition on the same day, and that is Pokemon Legends ZA. Arguably my most anticipated game of the year. It's weird to like rank it against some of these other things. I love Pokemon Legends Arceus, one of my favorite Switch 1 games. What we've seen of Legends ZA, I gotta be honest, hasn't like made me more excited for the game. It's just kind of kept me neutral, like, okay, yeah, well, what they're showing doesn't look like that amazing or anything, but I'm a Pokemon fan. I know I'm going to love this game. I'm not sure what Switch 2 edition enhancements they're going to have outside of just visuals. It looks like it's running at 4K 60 though, or at least 1080 60, which is great, even though, you know, the textures and models and everything look a little iffy. Legends Arceus was so good. I just need to see more of this game. I mean, I know I'm going to love it. It's probably going to be my most played game of the year, even above the top 2 and even above Damon X Machina and some of the other games here. So I know I'm going to put a ton of time into it. It'll probably be top 3 game of the year for me. I just want to see more. You know, they haven't shown any new Pokemon or Megas. The little ranking system they have where you battle trainers at night, it seems pretty cool. I need to see more, but I'm very, very excited for Pokemon Legends ZA, and even though the trailers so far haven't done anything to necessarily get me more excited, I'm just inherently excited because it's been so long. I mean, by the time this game comes out, it'll have been 3 years since the last Pokemon game. That's never happened. So I am itching for more Pokemon, and to have it on Switch 2 in the first year is definitely a treat, right? That's never happened, a new Pokemon game in the launch year of a new Nintendo system. That's really cool. Okay, coming in at number 2, this one has very quickly risen the ranks in my most anticipated games list of the year, as I keep thinking about it more, and my mind starts wandering with all of the possibilities. Kirby Air Riders, yeah, I'm putting that at number 2. So we don't really know what's going on with this game. We've just seen that very brief CGI teaser. However, the more I think about it, though, you know, I'm not like a huge Kirby Air Ride head. I mean, I think it's a fine game. I had fun with it when I played it for the first time last year, but I don't have nostalgia for it. However, I love Kirby. I've become a huge Kirby fan over the past couple of years, and this is the first project from Sakurai since Kid Icarus Uprising. And I was thinking about that, and Kid Icarus Uprising is one of the best Nintendo games ever made, definitely one of the best 3DS games, if not the best 3DS games, really only hindered by its controls. This is the first time this man has gotten to make something other than Smash Bros. Since then. And the last time he got to make a game that's not Smash Bros., he made one of the best, if not the best, 3DS games. So even though we haven't seen much of this game, Sakurai is a force to be reckoned with, and he really has never missed. So you combine that with my love for Kirby, and I think there's a chance that I end up liking this game more than like Mario Kart World. I know that might sound crazy, but I just have a feeling about it, man. Maybe I'll be wrong. Maybe this is a much smaller project and it won't be as content-filled as Sakurai's other games, including a Kid Icarus Uprising. But if you have a robust racing mode in there with tons of tracks, you have City Trial come back, you have some other fun modes, and of course the challenge board returns, Kirby Air Riders, I think, is going to be like one of my favorite games of the year. I'm really, really excited to see more of this. Maybe we see that first actual gameplay trailer and I feel differently, but I don't know, man. I really think Kirby Air Riders is going to be something really special just because it's its first game since Kid Icarus Uprising that's not Smash Bros, right? Like, this man's finally getting off the Smash Bros leash, and he can do whatever he wants, and he's doing Kirby Air Riders. For him to go back to Kirby Air Ride and make a sequel, that tells me he had a lot of ideas, right? This is his first Kirby game since then. Why do it if you aren't, like, ready to go? Like, you have a vision for what this is going to be. Why not do anything else? To me, it reads as Sakurai wants to get back to Kirby, and he wants to give it one of the best racing games ever made. So that is my number 2. You can probably guess what my number 1 is. I just said there's a chance I like Kirby Air Riders more than that, but just based on what we've seen so far, at number 1, I gotta put Mario Kart World. First new Mario Kart game in 11 years. Mario Kart 7, I put like 1,000 hours into. I love Mario Kart 7. Of course, I grew up with Double Dash and Wii and DS. I love all of these games. Mario Kart 8 as well. I haven't played it much in the past couple of years. You know, I would check out the Booster Course Pass tracks as they came out, but really, I haven't actively played Mario Kart since like 2017, 2018. So to know that we are on the precipice of a new Mario Kart game that is doing so much different in terms of the mechanics, where you have these charge jumps, you can ride on pipes, you can ride on walls, you don't have gliders anymore, you have airplanes, and you can ride on top of water. Like, they're really changing up the gameplay, but also you have an open world, which maybe this won't have that much of a lasting impact on me, because I can very much see myself playing the open world stuff, doing all the P-switches and all the challenges, and being done with that in like a week or two. So we'll see how that goes. But just having a new Mario Kart, like, that inherently is so freaking exciting, because Mario Kart 8 is already like a perfect game, in my opinion. Even though if I might have some more nostalgia for like a 7 or a Wii, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, you really can't argue that is like an immaculate kart racer. So Mario Kart World, I mean, they have a lot to live up to here, but I think they're making the right choices. They're doing the right things here with the open world, with the insane character roster where you can play as the cow and the little crab sidestepper dude. That's really exciting. I'll be curious to see what like the post-launch of this game looks like, and that's going to be a major factor for me and how I end up ranking it against the other games is, well, right now it looks like there's only going to be 32 tracks in the game, which is definitely sparse compared to where 8 Deluxe is at with the Booster Course Pass. How does this game evolve over the next 5 years in terms of hopefully free updates, but maybe paid DLC, new characters, new carts, that kind of thing? I'm very excited for this. I'm excited for just a new era of Mario Kart. It's been so long, and this really is Nintendo's premier franchise and premier series, so I can't wait for that. So those are my top 10 most anticipated Nintendo Switch 2 games. I would love to hear your thoughts on my list. There might be some picks here that, you know, people aren't really vibing with, like specifically D-Hey Bonanza being so low, but we'll see. I mean, maybe, like I said, that might be a top 3 game for me at the end of the year. We'll just have to wait and see how the full game plays out. But those are my 10, as well as the honorable mentions we went over earlier. And really, like I said, I played basically everything. I'm excited for much more than what I talked about in this video. It's going to be hard making time for all of this stuff. In fact, I probably won't be able to play every game that we went over in this video, especially those honorable mentions. But that top 10, yeah, I'm playing that top 10 for sure. Rune Factory, we'll have to wait a couple days until I'm done with Mario Kart, or at least, you know, I can take a break from Mario Kart. But from there, you know, we'll have time and space in between every release. So let me know your thoughts on my list, and let me know your top 10 at most anticipated Switch 2 games in the comments down below. Of course, as always, you can subscribe here for more Nintendo Switch 2 content, collecting content, impressions, reviews, that kind of thing. Follow me on Twitter at BoTalksGames. Check out my Nintendo news channel at BoTalksGames, and you can click on one of these 2 videos to listen to me ramble about even more Nintendo collecting and lists like this, I guess. Until next time, folks. Peace!